Hey everyone, and welcome to another series by Oracle Trades, Wealth Growth series. And today we're going to talk about the fundamentals. And what we'll cover is the definitions of wealth, what does it take to generate wealth, and why is this so difficult? We're going to explain what compound interest is and where to get started. Then we'll show you how to get started, and it's all about creating a bank account as step one. We'll show you the perfect setup and then do a quick recap. So let's get right started. Definitions of wealth. According to Google, it's the abundance of valuable possessions or money. But is that really all? Is wealth a point in time or is it a process? Is it about being wealthy or acquiring wealth? Give it some thought. It's quite interesting. What does it take to generate wealth? Well, there's three basic principles. There's obviously generating a steady income of some sort through your job. Then there's spending less than you earn, which is a given, but some people have challenges with that as well. And then there's a strategy to gain compound interest. Now, for the benefit of the international audience on YouTube, we're not going to discuss the 401k or similar products from the US. We're going to talk a bit more generic. But why is it so difficult to acquire wealth, get wealthy, and make a lot of money? Well, first of all, you don't know where your money is going. You don't have a budget and you don't have goals. And if you do have goals, those goals are lazy. You hate the feeling of being restricted or micromanaged, and you've got bad habits around money. You don't understand the point of savings, and you don't know how to prioritize savings when you're still paying off debt. You don't have a plan for the unexpected, and fricking capitalism and institutional systems prevent economic mobility. Now, I didn't come up with these things, as you can see in the source below. This is from a blog which I thought had some quite nice and very transparent and straightforward points about why it's so difficult to focus on generating wealth and saving money, putting money on the side. There's a few other reasons, and one of them is that society has educated us to consume. Getting that new phone, that new laptop, a bigger TV, 8K, 4K, new kitchen appliances, a new car. And there's obviously an element of peer pressure that society has created to maintain status praise, basically. And the companies and the consumer industries are obviously trying everything to keep that peer pressure alive. So dare you if you don't have that latest iPhone. And lastly, we don't believe what we cannot see. So for example, how savings would grow with compound interest. What is compound interest? Well, compound interest in simple terms is the effect of a principal amount, so your starting amount, gaining interest over time, and that interest being added to the initial amount each cycle, resulting in an increased interest at the next cycle. And you can probably see where this is going. There's a great compound interest calculator on moneychimp.com if you want to check it out. It just allows you to put in your current principal, which is your starting amount, the cash you have in the bank, and how much you're going to put on the side every year. And then it's going to ask you over how many years you want to grow this and what the interest rate is. Now, the interest rate depends because it could be anything, right? It depends what you do with your money. So I just put in 5 for the example here. And I said compound interest one time annually because that's literally how banks pay interest. But yeah, at the start of each compounding period. And as you can see, with a $1,000 initial investment and a yearly addition of $1,200, so that's $100 a month, and over 25 years, you can gain and generate $63,522. Now, the interesting thing is if you only increase that initial amount, and only in quotes, because obviously you have to have that money, but if you are able to increase that initial amount, the current principal, from 1,000 to 10,000, so by just adding $9,000 at the point of departure, you can make $30,000 more over the lifetime of this investment. So 9,000 becomes 30,000. That's more than 3 times the initial investment. So The initial investment can make a big difference, I guess is the point here. And obviously it depends what the interest rate is. So where do you start? Well, first of all, you have to know how much you earn, and you have to know how much you spend. May seem simple, but it's not always so easy. And the difference between these two amounts is the money you can put to work for you. If you can put aside very little, there are two options. Essentially, you can look for a job where you can earn more, or you can try to spend less and you have to pay off your debt. Now, let's understand how much money we can set aside each month. Track how much you earn and how much you spend. Probably good to do that for a month or two. And before you get started with any sort of saving strategy, you need to pay off any debt you have. Interest on debt will eat up any savings benefits and any benefits of the things we're going to do together. So now that you've paid off all your debt and you've identified the monthly amount you want to set aside, what's next? We'll keep it simple, but essentially we're going to open a new bank account. And it's good to do some research for a place where you can send the money so that it's not just a savings account with your current bank. So TransferWise, for example, while not being a real traditional bank, is offering true bank accounts with full IBAN bank details, and obviously any other regulated bank that offers free accounts. My suggestion would be, don't first of all get an account with your current bank, and don't get a credit card with that account at the other bank, as tempting as they may be. A free debit card is all you need. Don't let yourself be tempted with yet another credit card. Now, the account should be held in your local currency to avoid any currency exchange risk exposure over time, unless, of course, you know what you're doing or want more stable currencies like the US dollar, for example. So to illustrate the proposed setup here, you obviously have your income. You've got your savings account. That's the regular bank account where your salary would be posted to. And then you've got your checkings account. On the right, you can see your new savings account. That's we will refer to as your new wealth account. So what's the trick here? The trick is to initiate a monthly wire transfer, a recurring payment, from your savings account or whatever account you receive your salary on to your new wealth account. And you should schedule that a day or two after receiving that paycheck. The point here is psychologically to not even see the money on your account and to already reroute it to some other account. Now what you've got left, transfer 80% of that to your checkings account, your regular bank account. Now try and live for a month of these 80% and see what's left at the end of the month. Well, you're going to tell me, this isn't working for me. I can't live off that amount. Well, then let's try and dig a bit deeper. If you can't live of essentially 80% of the amount left after you've set aside some money, the question is, where are you spending so much? And that could be, for example, rent or mortgage. So if you're spending more than 30% of your net income on rent, that could be a problem. Otherwise, just try and see what the monthly expenses that hurts you most and where you can cut back. Like, do you need the Netflix subscription, the best premium subscription of everything? Could you do with something less? Sometimes it's just about cutting back on a few smaller expenses as well. The Starbucks coffee in the morning, a lot of the other habits that you may have recorded when you were doing your tracking in the first month. Other problem could be, I can't satisfy my credit card debt. Well, then stop saving immediately. Pay off your debt first. Paying off your debt is like saving money. And why do I still keep money on my old savings account? That's a good question. This is going to be our rainy day fund, our unforeseen car repairs, the new washing machine because the old one broke down, etc. So your savings account should always contain a little bit of a buffer. And this is the old savings account we're talking about. So let's look at an example. Let's assume you make $1,800 net per month. So that's the amount that lands in your savings account. And of that, you send over some money to your wealth account. In this case, you've guessed it, it's $180. It's 10% of that. salary, and then of whatever is left of those 1,620, you only transfer 80% over to your old checkings account. $1,800 becomes $1,620 in your savings account because $180 goes into your wealth account, and you're left with $1,296. Before doing anything, you need to know your personal financial situation. You have to pay off debt as a top priority, including and in particularly credit card debts, overdraft debts. You will not be able to grow wealth as fast with these hidden monthly costs. In fact, you may not be able to grow any wealth because you're just making somebody else wealthy. Educate yourself on the logic of compound interest. It's really powerful. And then open your new savings bank account to mark a fresh start of money management. Set up the monthly wire transfer we talked about, timed around 1 day after your paycheck arrives, and set up an internal monthly wire transfer as well to your checking account of 80% of what is left. This concludes the first session of our wealth management training. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, please leave us a like. If you have any questions, please ask the questions in the comments. Thank you and goodbye.